Good.
Yeah.
All right. Hello and welcome to Past Deadlines. My name is Blace Carpenter, and I'll be your host for this episode. Today in the studio, I have our reporter, Cristin Coppess, who worked on a story regarding the relationship between the tribe, the city of Mount Pleasant, and the university. Cristin, how are we doing today?
I'm great, Blaze. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just to jump into it, can you tell us a little bit about the relationship between the city and the tribe?
Yeah, for sure. So, overall, the relationship between the city and the tribe is very positive, and it's very rooted in what officials have told me is a mutual understanding and, kind of a shared interest in building up the Mount Pleasant area and keeping it a place where people want to live and raise families and things like that. So, I think there are three big ways that the tribe and the city work together and contribute to each other. One is going to be culture. So obviously we have the partnership here with CMU, which I'll get to that in a second. But there's also the Zeba Wing Center and a bunch of different, kind of ways that the tribe kind of touches Mount Pleasant in terms of the cultural impact. So that's very present here. And it brings a focus of Indigenous education into our schools and kind of introduces native culture to the local community through different events like the powwow and some other ceremonies that happen at CMU during Native American Heritage Month is right now actually the whole month of November. And then the other biggest thing is the economy. So a while back, when the tribe was kind of working with the state of Michigan to obtain gaming rights for the Isabella Reservation, which is legal because as a sovereign nation, the Saginaw Indian Chippewa tribes, like land that they have claim to, isn't governed by the state of Michigan. It's governed by the tribe. So the gaming laws don't apply in the same way as they would to property that's owned by the state of Michigan.
Because they're not underneath the state of Michigan.
Yes, so the tribe is its own sovereign nation. There's a partnership there, but the state of Michigan can't tell the tribe what to do, essentially. So because of that, the part of that agreement to have those gaming rights is that the tribe has to give a 2% of their class 3 gaming is funneled into local governments and schools through a grant program. So that class 3 gaming kind of refers to the slot machines. So 2% of the profits they make from that go into a grant program that is distributed twice throughout the year. I was talking with the city manager, Aaron DeSense, and he said that on average, the city receives about $650,000 from the tribe. But last year they saw a really generous award of about 1 million. And the interesting thing about this too is that Eric Rodriguez, who's the interim public relations director for the tribe, said that the Saginaw Chippewa tribe is actually one of the very few in the state who are able to dictate where that 2% of their gaming profits go because of the relationship they have with um, the city of Mount Pleasant. Other tribes, for example, just kind of write the check for the 2% and say, here, do what you will. But the, the tribe that we have here reviews everything, dictates where it goes, and most of the time they support mutual interests of the tribe and the city, mostly with childcare, public safety, and infrastructure. And oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, do you know where that $1 million went to? Did Aaron give any light on where that grant went to?
According to the document that Eric Rodriguez sent me, the city of Mount Pleasant particularly got $60,000 in airport operational funding, $58,000 in emergency services, and a youth academy van. $90,000 for Partners Empowering All Kids, which is the PEAK program, and sewer pipeline inspection cameras, which is 28,000. And Isabella County got there's a bunch going on here. So I guess that's just to name a few, specifically in the city of Mount Pleasant, but there's scattered around Isabella County and other local townships like Deerfield, Denver, Nottawa Township, Union Township. There's a lot of money that goes into the local community from that 2%.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of that goes into that infrastructure and different
Yes.
programs that would can be utilized really by anybody that's in this community. And so that's just it looks like one way that the tribe and the city just partner together.
Yeah, the way that Mr. Rodriguez explained it to me was that the tribe doesn't just exist on the Isabella Reservation. So they have members who live in Isabella County and in different areas in this community and even all over the state. So they try to use the money from the 2% in a way that benefits everyone because, again, their nation doesn't just exist solely on the Isabella Reservation. And then I think the other interesting aspect of the casino's presence here in Mount Pleasant is that um, the city manager, Aaron DeSense, also told me that the casino really fuels Mount Pleasant's economy from a tourism standpoint. A lot of the visitors who go to the casino also go to local restaurants, local attractions, gas stations, things of that nature. So it's without that casino, it'd be a really big cultural impact and economic impact too.
Yeah, and it's also a really big employer for the
Absolutely.
area too. So I kind of want to dive into our university,
Yeah.
Central Michigan University. We have that partnership with the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe and bear part of the tribe's name. And I kind of wanted to dive into what does that relationship look like?
So I'm just gonna start off by saying that it not wasn't always a positive thing. So when Coach Sweeney, a football coach here at Central Michigan way back in the day, first proposed the idea of using the nickname Chippewa, it wasn't necessarily in a good faith intention, if you kind of catch my drift. There was a lot of cultural appropriation that happened there and um, imaging that was what the tribe would describe as disrespectful, inaccurate, because the Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe is a peaceful nation. So having representations where they're kind of decked out in war garb, for example, isn't reflective of their culture. And so that kind of carried on for a while of the we're using this nickname, but it wasn't really appropriate. But then there was an agreement reached in 2002 between the university and the tribe, allowing us to don that nickname in exchange for one, appropriate usage, and two, really fostering education about Indigenous culture and history. So at CMU, there's a lot of different classes that focus on this. I believe there's an Ojibwe language course, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and there's also CMU is a hub for Indigenous events, like the annual powwow every year and other Native American Heritage Month events, as I was saying earlier. And there's a lot of different like not messaging, I guess, but like visual representations of that culture all over campus too. Like in Bovey University Center, we have that Indigenous mural that was dedicated a few years back. Um, and yeah, so that partnership is in really good standing now. As we kind of progress forward, one thing I'll give a nod to President Neil McKinnon about is that he's made a point of including more ceremonies and more culture into the day-to-day life at CMU. For example, the smudging ceremony and graduation. So that's been really cool to see as well.
Yeah, again, he had that at his investiture at the graduation ceremony.
Yes.
And I know even last year, before McKinnon came in, there was a board of trustee meeting where Eric Rodriguez, on behalf of the tribe, had given them like sacred herbs and the official
Yes.
Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe flag to really strengthen that partnership. And so I think we've seen over the past year some work steps to kind of strengthen that relationship for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of want to go back a little bit, and we've talked about the history hasn't always been sunshine.
Hmm.
And so, can you talk a little bit about the kind of painful history between these partnerships?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing that comes to mind with that in terms of something that's directly related to the city of Mount Pleasant, as well as, areas all over the United States and Canada, is the Mount Pleasant Industrial Indian Boarding School. So that school was essentially the grounds for systematic abuse of Native children who were forced to at times cut their hair, abandon their language, and kind of experience forced assimilation practices. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, the tribe sent their kids to the school. No, that's not the case. It wasn't really a choice. So a lot of that culture that used to exist within the tribe doesn't exist anymore as a result of that boarding school's existence here in Mount Pleasant. Um, and when I spoke with Eric Rodriguez, he said there's lasting generational trauma that kind of comes along with that. But according to the official website, the tribe was granted the property that the boarding school is on after it closed. I should mention that too. After it was closed as a boarding school, it was turned into a state mental and psychiatric facility. And then that closed, and then the state of Michigan acquired that property turned it over to the city of Mount Pleasant, and then the city of Mount Pleasant granted it to the tribe via a land conveyance. So then the city and the tribe kind of partnered to archaeologically restore and archive the history of the boarding school over the following years and kind of dig up evidence of like what truly occurred there. And Eric Rodriguez said that the progress was fueled by the city's willingness to work with the tribe and acknowledge the history. And something that he really placed emphasis on was that they didn't have to do that. That's something they chose to do, which is another kind of symbol of that good faith and understanding in that relationship. Nowadays, the city and the tribe partner for a lot of different things honoring that history, specifically the annual Honoring, Healing, and Remembering Day. That is a ceremony to honor the lives of those who were impacted by the boarding school. I believe there's a roll call of all of the students who were killed there. And that's just one of the many things that they do to kind of just acknowledge it and not say that, oh, this happened in the past, doesn't matter anymore. Yes, it still does. It still has lasting impact.
We've kind of talked on it already, but just how is this relationship moving forward?
So, like I said, the partnership is really healthy. They're moving forward really well. It's to kind of better the community and for everyone living in it, regardless of whether they are a member of the tribe or not. But both DeSenz and Rodriguez kind of expressed to me that there's a lot that's up in the air right now with state and federal funding. And that uncertainty is going to kind of dictate the decisions that they make in terms of what money goes where. Um, so they kind of emphasize the idea of, learning how to do more with less. And even though that's going to pose a challenge and there's going to be some difficult conversations that ultimately result from that, they both felt really confident that the two groups would be able to effectively communicate and continue to work in everybody's best interest. And the other side of that is the tribe being here does give the city a little bit of access to resources it wouldn't originally have in terms of like federal and state programs that go directly to indigenous communities. So there's also that benefit as well. But if I could wrap it up in one sentence, I'd say that going forward, it's it's going to be okay.
Gotcha. Well, Kristen, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Blaze.